What's up everybody, this is Master Ian Gamer, and today I'm going to be talking about a mysterious little clue which has made its way onto Lijiang Tower, and that is this wheelchair. Now, the reason that this wheelchair is so mysterious is that it apparently was just added. From as far as I can tell, it must have been added along with the Lunar New Year update. Now, I first found out about this via a Reddit post by someone named Karahi, who pointed it out and tried talking a bit about what they thought it might mean. Now, I'll get to my own speculations about what it could possibly be indicating, but first I just want to give more evidence about just how strange this is. To be fair, I wasn't able to verify exactly when it was updated into the game, because I couldn't find any screenshots or footage, or even just people talking about this room and the chair in it. However, given that I don't recall ever having seen this wheelchair here before, and neither did Karahi or any of the other people who commented on their post, I think it's safe to say that this was an incredibly recent change. And on top of that, the wheelchair is only actually present in the non-event themed version of Lijiang Tower Control Center. If we take a look here at the Lunar New Year reskinned version of this map, instead of a wheelchair, you just have a normal default office chair. And on top of that, if you take a look at the Capture the Flag versions of Lijiang Tower, both the default one and the Lunar New Year version feature just the office chair. And given that this update happened at the start of the Lunar New Year event, the only way to actually see this in-game is to go into a custom game and select the default map skin, since otherwise, if you were just playing quick player competitive, you'd be getting the Lunar New Year version, which doesn't have this change. Seems like a pretty subtle way for Blizzard to sneak in an update like this. Anyways, before I move on to talking about what this could actually mean, first I just want to remind you that if you are new to my channel, then I would appreciate you hitting that subscribe button and turning on notifications. Anyways, let's get back to the mystery. So the first big thing that I think will come to most people's mind is the possibility of this hinting at a new hero. And the big one that I've seen people talking about specifically regarding this wheelchair is the possibility of Harold Winston, who, if you don't know, was the scientist caretaker for Winston the gorilla on the Horizon lunar colony. Now, personally, I find this theory to be incredibly unlikely. Not only do we have a number of verifications that Harold Winston died, but even if they did somehow play the card of, oh, he's not really dead, and they were to add him as a hero, that would mean that there are two playable heroes named Winston, which would just be confusing, but also it's a crucial element of Winston the gorilla's backstory that his father figure, so to say, died. To suddenly bring him back and say, oh, he wasn't dead after all, would kind of undermine Winston's character. So personally, I really don't think it's going to be Harold Winston, although I suppose it is possible. Anyway, moving on to who I think is probably a much more likely candidate is Liao. Now, I'm sure most of you are familiar with Liao at this point. They are a character who's been mentioned by Blizzard and is identified as being the 6th founding member of Overwatch. Interestingly enough, they are the only founding member who is not currently a playable hero in-game, and on top of that, we don't even have a verified image of what they look like. Based on their name, Liao is presumably Chinese, or maybe also Taiwanese, which would be a valid reason to link them to Lijiang Tower, which is a Chinese map. And if Liao is in fact one of the founding members of Overwatch, they would presumably be quite old, much like we see with the other founding members who are playable in-game. And if he is quite old, that could explain why he needs to use a wheelchair. Could this in fact be Liao's personal office? Does he somehow have ties to Lijiang Tower and perhaps even the Horizon lunar colony? We know that on the opposite side of the map is an office that presumably belongs to Harold Winston based on the picture that we can see displayed on the desk. Perhaps these two characters have some sort of relationship that we just haven't seen brought up yet. Again, this is all just extreme speculation because we know next to nothing when it comes to Liao as a character. However, given that his name has come up time and time again and people have been speculating for over a year at this point about the possibility of him becoming a new hero, I think it's a very realistic possibility that this could be some sort of teaser for him to be an upcoming character. He might not even necessarily be Hero 27. For all we know, Blizzard could be looking pretty far ahead, and maybe we won't actually see him until, who knows, next BlizzCon perhaps. But personally, I do think Liao is the most likely character if this is in fact teasing a new hero. I will also, though, mention the possibility of this somehow being linked to Hammond, who, if you don't know, is presumably a chimp who lived on the Horizon lunar colony with Winston, but has since gone missing. While I'm not exactly sure how a escaped chimp could end up having an office in Lijiang Tower, I will just say, you know, there's a possible connection there. Anyways, moving on, this could also be teasing not a new hero, but maybe just a new cinematic. It's entirely possible that an upcoming animated short will take place at Lijiang Tower, and it might include a character who uses a wheelchair, but isn't a character that will eventually be playable in-game. This could be a way of sort of setting the mood to prelude this animated short, but then that also brings up the question of whose short it would be. The only characters currently who you could really create any sort of ties to Lijiang Tower would be Mei and Winston, given that Mei is Chinese and Winston is from the Horizon lunar colony. However, both of these characters have already gotten animated shorts, and on top of that, aside from being Chinese, Mei doesn't really seem to have any connections to the whole space program that's going on here. And as for Winston, well, it seems like he's become pretty disconnected over the years, and obviously is now a part of Overwatch, as opposed to the Lunar Ops space program. So I guess it is possible that it could be both a new hero and an animated short clue, but we'd really just have to wait and see. And the last possibility is that this isn't hinting a hero or an animated short, but rather was just a small update that Blizzard decided to put in order to help generate a more inclusive atmosphere. Now, what I mean by this is Blizzard cares a lot about being inclusive with their games. That's why they have characters from nationalities all across the world, so that no matter who you are, you'll find a character that you can identify with and connect with on some kind of level. So, while I'm not necessarily convinced of this, it might be a possibility that Blizzard decided, hey, let's put a wheelchair in one of the maps to show that even in the world of Overwatch, there are people with physical disabilities. Thus, players who maybe have a physical disability and are playing the game will see the wheelchair and perhaps maybe feel just a little bit more connected with the world. Again, this is just some speculation on my part. Maybe this is the intent they were going for, maybe I'm just overthinking it. But regardless, this is a strange addition that's been made, and we'll just have to wait and see, I guess, for time to tell what it actually means. Now, interestingly enough, I actually did a video recently talking about some potential upcoming hero map hints that can be found on both Hollywood as well as Junkertown. So if you haven't seen that video, I would encourage you to check it out as well through the card on screen. And otherwise, thank you all so much for watching. Please be sure to leave a comment below saying what you think this might be hinting at, and be sure to leave a like, subscribe, follow me on Twitter, and turn on notifications to both help out my channel and keep up with all my future Overwatch content. This is Master Ian Gamer signing off, and until next time, have a great day.